Hey my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being here, where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about how the narcissist wants you to lose control, right? In these cycles, what tends to happen is we get so triggered and everything gets so built up that we act out of character. Yeah, the narcissist wants your anger, your jealousy, your rage, your fear, your guilt and your shame. They want you to be in very low frequency negative emotions, and they do whatever it takes to keep you there. And one of the hardest things of this cycle is that we lose ourselves. We self-abandon. We become what the narcissist needs us to be. We lose our sense of identity, our strength, our confidence, our self-esteem and sense of self. This is especially happens when we lose control, right? When we react, it's called reactive abuse. When we react, well, not all of it is reactive abuse, but sometimes we will react in abusive ways ourselves, right? Because we're so triggered. And it's often not the thing, something could spur us off into out of character behavior, because things are building up the whole time. The tension's building up the whole time. The devaluation is the longest stage of this relationship, right? So the challenge with losing control and reacting, and I've done it in ways that I'd never thought I would, you know, when we either fight back in some way or do something destructive, or, you know, for me personally, it was words that I used that I'd never normally use, but I was so triggered, right? And it took me away from my character. I didn't know who I was anymore. You know, sometimes this might show up as you begging the narcissist back. This might show up as you lashing out. It might show up as you doing something out of character that's destructive. I want you to just know that you get to forgive yourself. It's not the real you that did that. It was a triggered you. It was a you that was pushed to their limits. It was a you that couldn't take it anymore. It was a you that wasn't being heard. It was a you that was being diminished and devalued every day, right? But it is a really... And what this does, actually, the biggest problem with this as well, is that instead of focusing on what the narcissist did to cause it, yeah, we tend to focus on the shame and blame and guilt of what we did, right? It takes our attention off the narcissist onto ourselves, and we feel very bad about ourselves very often when we've done things that we're ashamed of or that we wouldn't usually have done. This could happen sexually as well. I've had many clients that have been, and actually one of my narcissistic exes was trying to push me into certain things sexually that I didn't want to do, right? But under the pressure and under the illusion and under the manipulation, you may have done things in all sorts of ways, right? Maybe you were violent, maybe you said, you know, nasty things. Maybe you did things sexually that you're not happy with, that weren't the real you, but you were kind of being manipulated into, right? So we carry a lot of guilt and shame, and that guilt and shame can take over and stop us looking at the actual cause of that behavior, which was the narcissist, right? So please, like, just go into your heart and let it go. Like, let yourself forgive yourself for anything you've done in this cycle that's completely out of character. I beat myself up for a long time. I still do sometimes. I have to work on my own emotional intelligence, because some of the things I've done are so out of character, but I was pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, you know? And it was like, you know, we're not trained on this planet for psychological warfare. And that's what being with a narcissist can be like. It's absolute emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic warfare, spiritual warfare. So what you have to go back to is remembering what the narcissist did, what got you to that place, right? What got you to that place where you, I mean, there's two versions of this. One is reactive abuse, when we react in abusive ways ourselves. And two is when our boundaries are so eroded that we've done things that we regret, we deeply regret, and we wish we hadn't done. Yeah. So first of all, it's about radical forgiveness, to know that you're not trained in psychological warfare. What you've been through is like living in hell if you've been with a narcissist. And like anything you've done in reaction, right, is because you just couldn't cope anymore. You just get so triggered. But what I would advise you to do is try and keep hold of yourself, right? In my earlier videos, I was touching my body a lot because I had to come back into my body, out of my head, right? And a lot of us are too much in our heads and not in our senses. So you can drop your energy down into your body at any time. If you just like do that with me now, you could take a deep breath. And you can imagine your energy just dropping down into your heart. It's really good when you're getting triggered and getting emotional to put your hand on your heart, because it starts moving your energy awareness, right? So you go back into your heart. You don't lose yourself in your head. You don't go out of yourself. We don't abandon ourselves, because when we are reacting in negative ways, we're often just losing ourselves in the situation, rather than staying present and thinking. Pause, go to the restroom, go to the bathroom, take time out, be patient. Remember the magic words I talked about in another video, which is like, let me think about that. You can also say, I'm not going to argue with you, I need to go out now. Yeah, I'm not going to have an argument, let me take a walk, let me come back to you when I've calmed down. Because when we feel out of control, and the narcissist is baiting you the whole time. They want you out of control. They want you to self-abandon. They want you to lose your identity, your self-esteem, your confidence, and your sense of self. That's what they want, because then you're very easy to manipulate. You don't know who you are anymore. So you just, much easier for you to become what the narcissist needs you to be, right? You might want to write a list of things that you've done that you regret, and just like burn it, or, you know, rip it up, and let yourself have the forgiveness that you need and the compassion that you need. We've got to have a lot of compassion for ourselves in these cycles. They are brutal, and they turn us into a different person, right? We lose ourselves. I was very confident when I first went to the States. I had a successful career behind me, you know, and then I got in cycles of narcissistic abuse, and it just eroded my self-esteem. And I was someone who traveled the world and did lots of things on our own before that, and I became scared of everything, right? Because of the destructive cycle that I'd been in had just eroded me on every level, right? So we want to come back to ourselves, right? We want to forgive ourselves. We want to have a lot of compassion for ourselves. We want to go gently on ourselves. And we want to remember that you were under psychological warfare, and remember what the narcissist did to get you there. Yeah, because it's not healthy. It's not normal, whatever normal is. And it's not something that most people can take over and over again for too long. People are going to snap. Yeah. And so you may have done things that you regret. You may have embarrassed yourself. You may feel embarrassed. You might feel shame. You might feel guilty, right? Of all these things that happen when we're out of character. And so we've got to heal those. We've got to heal that. We've got to heal that, right? You might feel a lot of resentment. You might feel a lot of loss. You might feel many things, but the narcissist wants you in jealousy, rage, anger, depression, fear. They want all the negative emotions from you, right? That's how they get their energy hit in the psychic realm. They actually are getting an energetic hit when you're giving off those, transmitting those emotions, right? So if you want to heal and be part of a beautiful community that is not just dealing with, is working on healing from this, but also like creating their best lives, please join Sovereign, because it's a brilliant place to connect. And it's so much more about us than it is about narcissism, right? Although I do talk about narcissism in there, obviously, and on the channel, it's all about your healing and coming into yourself and having confidence and being able to manifest and being able to create your dreams and knowing how to set boundaries and have good values and clear and calling all spiritual parts of you back, taking up space in the world as your true self, as your authentic self, in your authentic power, right? And if you want a one-on-one session, I've got those available as well. So do message me. Other than that, I love you. Please keep liking, subscribing and sharing. It means a lot to me, and I'll speak to you soon.